Hello, I am Scout83, and this is a commentary video for Shogun 2. This is an avatar multiplayer video, and my opponent is listed on screen. My forces are fighting under the dark green banner, and my opponent is fighting under blue banners. If you will look on the battle map, you will see that both me and my opponent are moving in force to take the hill. This is because on this map, this is the most predominant high ground on the map. As we approach the hill, my opponent begins running his men to the hill. And I am forced to do the same. It becomes obvious that both of us are committing all of our infantry to taking the hill. And two evenly matched forces collide at the very top of the hill. I throw my reserve into a flanking maneuver to try to take the top of this hill on the left. As I'm doing this, he reinforces with samurai. But I successfully swing my units around and attack from behind. But still, on the top of this hill, the infantry battle is still very even. And the battle could still swing either way. During the battle, I had lost track of a unit of lone swordsmen, and they had broken through the enemy line and was now chasing down the enemy archers. And they had wiped out an entire unit of archers when they get attacked by more archers in the back in melee. But my unit, seen here in bright green, is a veteran unit, and the archers have no chance. And what these archers are doing is pulling my unit farther and farther away from the hill, where they are desperately needed. Earlier, as my infantry is charging up the hill to meet his infantry, I move my cavalry onto my right side. To counter this, my opponent moves all of his cavalry to his left to counter mine. And as I move my cavalry up to the top of the hill, he begins a charge. My cavalry is desperately outnumbered and is in a very desperate situation. And my opponent maneuvers his cavalry around to attack mine from behind, as I send my reserve spearmen into the fight. My opponent launches his cavalry to the side of my cavalry. The result is that my cavalry gets massacred. My opponent has to take the cavalry away from my spearmen, or they may suffer the same fate. Now, with cavalry superiority, my opponent moves his cavalry behind my army. And I desperately try to keep my spearmen between his cavalry and the back of my army. My opponent launches his cavalry against my general. But I manage to pull my spearmen away from the fighting and into the oncoming cavalry. The result is most of his cavalry is killed. And he pulls what's left of his cavalry away from the battle to wait for another opportunity. Meanwhile, the battle still rages on the hill, and it's still very much even. Eventually, our generals collide against each other on the hill. Ironically, both our generals ended up fleeing, practically side by side. As my swordsmen that had gotten pulled away from the battle began charging back towards the hill, my opponent launches his cavalry back into the fight. And they all collide on the hill for this last struggle for the hill. My men begin to waver. Suddenly, the balance changes, and my enemy flees the field. And I barely won. I want to say good game to my opponent. This was a very close game. As my opponent said, it was down to the wire. And I thought it was funny that the unit that won the battle was called I'm Lost, and was for most of the battle lost to me. I've placed the battle results on screen for you, and I want to say thank you for watching.